Good morning. Myself J. Vinay Kumar, and today we are going to discuss about DC machines and batteries, and this curriculum is for diploma students. And the subject code for this one is 18EE 303. And this subject consists of 6 units, mainly consists of 6 units. The first one is regarding the fundamentals of DC generators. These are the basic fundamentals of DC generators. Number 2 is regarding armature reaction and characteristics of DC generators. And the third unit is on motors, fundamentals of DC motors. And fourth unit is regarding the starters for DC motors and characteristics and applications of DC motors. The fifth unit is speed control of DC motors. The sixth unit is on batteries. Okay. Let us start with the unit 1, that is fundamentals of DC generators. In this PPT, we are going to learn about 4 topics, that is number 1 is dynamically induced EMF. Okay. Number 2 is regarding the Fleming's right hand rule. Number 3 is single loop generator. Number 4 is Lenz law. The first topic is the dynamically induced EMF. Mainly, the induced EMFs are of two types. One is statically induced EMF and the other is dynamically induced EMF. Statically induced EMF means the name itself indicates that it is static. It deals with static devices. Means the example for such a static device is a transformer. Okay. In transformer, how statically induced EMFs will be there, we will study that one. And here in motors or in generators, since these are dynamic, that is there will be rotating parts. Here we consider these EMFs as dynamically induced EMFs. Okay. A dynamically induced EMF means an EMF induced in a conductor when the conductor moves across a magnetic field. And you can see the below figure where A is the conductor with length L moves in a flux density of B Weber per meter square with a velocity of V. Then the dynamically induced EMF will be given as BLV volts. When theta is equal to 90, then the EMF will be BLV. If the conductor is at certain angle, let us say theta, then the EMF induced will be BLV sin theta. Okay, here V is the magnetic flux density, L is the length of the conductor, and V is the velocity of the conductor. Now let us discuss the second topic, that is Fleming's right hand rule. Fleming's right hand rule. First of all, stretch the forefinger, middle finger, and thumb perpendicular to each other as shown in the figure. Then the forefinger indicates the magnetic field, and the middle finger indicates the electric current, the direction of the electric current, and thumb indicates the direction of rotation of magnetic conductor, direction of rotation of conductor. This rule is mainly used in DC generators. Okay, right hand, Fleming's right hand rule is always used in generators, whereas Fleming's left hand rule is for motors. Now let us see the next topic, that is single loop generator. You can see in the below figure, here there are two magnets, north pole and south pole. The magnetic flux lines starts from north pole and ends at south pole, and you can see a rectangular conductor at the middle of the north pole and south pole, that is named as A, B, C and D. It rotates at an axis of small a and b, which we can see in the figure. In the figure, the rectangular frame is in the vertical position. In the above figure, a single loop of conductor of rectangular shape is placed between two opposite poles. Let us consider this rectangular frame ABCD rotates in the magnetic field with its axis. When it rotates from its vertical position to horizontal position, it cuts the flux lines of the field. During this movement, the two sides, that is AB and CD of the loop, cuts the flux lines. There will be an EMF induced in these both of the sides, that is AB and BC of the loop. In this figure, we can see the direction of flux, that is the direction of flux is from north pole to south pole, and the direction of rotation, we can see the arrow, the direction of rotation of this angular frame, and the current induced, the direction of current induced also we can see in this figure. Here the rectangular frame has moved from vertical position to the horizontal position. A current is induced in AB and induced in CD, which can be seen in AB and CD. The direction of the current can be determined by the Fleming's right hand rule. Now on further rotation, this rectangular frame, if further rotated, the conductor AB will be in the downward position and the conductor CD will be in the upward direction. Now the upper side of the loop will be CD and lower side will be AB. At this position, the tangential motion of the side of the loop is parallel to the flux lines of the field. Hence, there will be no cutting of flux. when there is no cutting of flux, there will be no current in the loop. If the loop rotates further, it comes to again in the horizontal position. But now said AB side of the loop comes in front of north pole and CD comes in front of south pole. That is just opposite to the previous horizontal position as shown in the figure beside. Here the tangential motion of the side of the loop is perpendicular to the flux lines, hence rate of flux cutting is maximum. And according to the Fleming's right hand rule, at this position current flows from B to A and on the other side from D to C. And on further rotation, the conductor AB will be nearer to the north pole and the conductor CD will be nearer to the south pole, and we can see the direction of the flux and direction of rotation of the conductor and direction of the current. Every time the side AB comes in front of south pole, the current flows from A to B. Again, when it comes in front of north pole, the current flows from B to A. Similarly, every time the side of CD comes in front of south pole, the current flows from C to D. When the side of CD comes in front of north pole, the current flows from D to C. Let us now learn the last topic, that is Lenz law, which we have, I think you have already learned in the previous classes. Let us recall this Lenz law. What this Lenz law says is the direction of induced EMF is mainly given by this Lenz law. According to this law, the induced EMF will be acting in such a way that it opposes the very cause of its production. So here mathematically we can write the above equation as E is equal to minus N into d phi by dt, where E denotes the EMF induced, N denotes the number of conductors, and phi denotes the flux, and T is the time taken. And here minus indicates the opposite direction. This is the end, and now let us learn other topic, that is uh, the next topic is classification of generators based on excitation. DC generators are basically classified based on their type of excitation. Mainly there will be three types of excitations. One is permanent magnet DC generators, where the field coils are excited by permanent magnets, and separate excited DC generators where the field coils are excited by some external source. self-excited DC generators where the field coils are excited by the generator itself. Again, the self-excited DC generators are classified into three types based on the connection of the field coils. Number one is series wound generators. That is, in this one, the field coil is connected in series with the armature. Second one is shunt wound generators. In this, the field winding is always connected in parallel with the armature. And the third one is compound generators. These generators are further classified into two types. One is short shunt compound generators and number two is long shunt compound generators. Let us see the permanent magnet DC generators. In this figure, we can see the two magnets. Here the excitation is provided by these permanent magnets. Mainly these are small types of DC generators. These type of generators are mainly used in small applications such as toys. And the second one is separately excited DC generator. These are the generators whose field magnets are energized by some external DC source such as battery. The circuit diagram of this DC generator is shown here. We can see clearly here the field winding is connected to some separate battery source and the current in the field winding is IF, which is nothing but field current. The EMF generated in the armature is given as EG, nothing but EMF generated in armature, and the current flowing from the armature is IA, and the current in the load is indicated as IL. This armature and the load both are connected in series, so IA is always equal to IL. The voltage across the load is given as V. And now here we can see the equations of the above circuit diagram. The voltage drop in the armature is given as IA into RA, where IA is the armature current and RA is the armature resistance. And I have already said that the current in the armature and current in the load both are equal. Then voltage across the load is given as V is equal to I into RA. We know that RA is the armature resistance. Power generated is equal to PG is equal to EG into I, where EG is the EMF generated, and the power delivered to the external load is equal to PL is equal to V into I. Now the last one is self-excited DC generators. Here we have already discussed that there are three types. Series type is the first one, shunt type is the second one, and compound type is the third one. Here we can see that the self-excited DC generators are generators whose field magnets are energized by current supplied by themselves. In this type of machine, field coils are internally connected with the armature. Due to residual magnetism, some flux is always present in the poles. When the armature is rotated, some EMF is induced. Hence, some induced current is produced. As the pole flux is strengthened, it will produce more armature EMF, which causes further increase of the current through the field. As this increase of the field current rises armature EMF, and this cumulative phenomenon continues until the excitation reaches the rated value. According to the position of the field coil, self-excited DC generators may be classified into three types: series, shunt, and compound generators. Let us see the first one, that is series wound generators. As we have already discussed that in this series wound generators, the winding will be connected in series with the armature. Hence, the whole current flows through the field coil as well as load. As the series field windings carries full load current, it is designed with relatively few turns of thick wire. The electrical resistance of this series field winding is very low, say 0.5 ohms. Here we can see the series circuit diagram of DC generator. Here all the three parts are connected in series, that is armature, field winding, and load. The current flowing from armature is IA, which flows through the series field winding. Then it is said as ISC, and the same current flows through the load, that is said as IL. From this, we can say that the current IA is equal to ISC is equal to IL is equal to I, and the voltage across the load is V. The voltage across the load is V is equal to Eg minus I into Ra, where Ra is the resistance of the armature. Power generated is equal to Eg into I. Power delivered to the load will be given as PL is equal to V into I, where V is the voltage across the load and the I is the series current. And the second one in this type of generators is shunt wound DC generators. In this type of DC generators, the field windings are connected in parallel with armature conductors as shown in the figure. Series wound generators, the voltage in the field winding is same as voltage across the terminals. Here we can see the circuit diagram of the shunt wound generator where all the three parts, that is field winding, armature and load, are connected in parallel. The current coming from the armature is given as Ia, which was divided into two parts. One is ISH and the other is IL. IL is nothing but it is the current flowing in the load, and ISH is the current flowing in the shunt field winding, and EG is the EMF generated. From this we can say that the armature current Ia is equal to ISH plus IL. The effective power across the load will be maximum when IL will be maximum. So it is required to keep the shunt field current as small as possible. For this purpose, the resistance of the shunt field winding generally kept high, around 100 ohms, and large number of turns are used for the desired EMF. Shunt field current is equal to ISH is equal to V by RSH, where V is the voltage and RSH is the shunt field resistance. The voltage across the load is equal to EG minus IaRa, where EG is the EMF generated and Ia is the armature current, Ra is the armature resistance, and the power generated is given as Pg, which is equal to Eg into Ia, where Eg is the EMF generated and Ia is the current. Power delivered to the load is equal to PL is equal to V into IL, where V is the voltage across the load and IL is the load current. And the third type is compound wound DC generator. In series wound generators, the output voltage is directly proportional with the load current, and in shunt type, the output voltage is always inversely proportional to the load current. A combination of these two types of generators can overcome the disadvantages of both. This combination of the winding is called as compound DC generator. This type of generators have both type of windings, that is series field winding and shunt field winding. One winding is placed in series with the armature, whereas other winding is placed in parallel with the armature. This type of generators may be of two types. One is short shunt type and the other one is long shunt type. Let us see the first one, that is short shunt type of compound wound generator. Mainly these generators where only shunt field winding is in parallel with the armature. We can see the circuit below. Here the shunt field winding is in parallel with the armature only. And from this circuit diagram, the equations can be given as series field current is equal to ISC is equal to IL. Shunt field current is equal to ISH is equal to V plus RSC into ISC by RSH. And armature current is equal to IA is equal to ISH plus IL. Voltage across the load is given as V is equal to EA minus IA RA minus ISC or SC. And the power delivered to the load is given as PL is equal to V into IL. And here we can see the long shunt compound generator. In this one, the shunt field winding is kept in parallel with both series field and armature. And the equations can be given as shunt field current is equal to ISH is equal to V by RSH, where V is the voltage and RSH is the shunt resistance. Armature current, which is given as IA, is equal to series field current, ISH SC is equal to IL plus ISH, and the voltage across the load is given as V is equal to EG minus IA RA minus ISC RSC, which is further equal to EG minus, we can take common as IA into RA plus RSC, and the power generated is given as PG is equal to EG into IA, where IA is the armature current. And the power delivered to the load is given as PL is equal to V into IL. In these compound generators, the field winding will be stronger than the series field winding. When the series field winding assists the shunt field winding, it is called as cumulative compound generator. When the series field winding is in opposite to shunt field generator, then it is called as differentially compound generator. From this, we have learned the classification of DC generators, that is mainly three types, that is permanent magnet DC generator, separately excited DC generator, and self-excited DC generator. And all the three types of self-excited DC generators, that is series type of generator, shunt type of generator, and compound type of generator. And in this compound type, it is again further classified into two types, that is short shunt and long shunt. Okay, that's it. This is the end.